Alright, y'all. Okay, this is not my dog. I just want y'all to know she's just obsessed with me. So she's like, welcome back, everyone. My name is Vanessa, if you didn't already know. But don't call me that. Call me Ness, N-E-S-S. We're gathered here today for a story time. I've never done one of these, so I'm gonna just give it a go. There's a couple lessons to be learned in this story. It's not about bashing anybody, so I'm not gonna use nobody's names. But today's story time is about the time that I fought my roommate. Now, a disclaimer before I get started. I just want you guys to know that this happened when I was 19 years old. So I have grown and matured a lot since then. So like I said, that's why we won't be using nobody's names. It's not about hurting anyone's feelings or embarrassing anybody. This is about telling you guys what happened, simply, and all the lessons that I learned along the way through adulthood, early adulthood. Okay, so let's just get right into it. Alright, so before I can start telling you the story, I gotta tell you the backstory first. So the backstory is I started college at SF State and I lived on campus the first year. So my freshman year of college, I lived on campus and I got in trouble with on-campus housing on multiple occasions. So I knew they weren't going to allow me back for the second year and I had to figure out another living situation. Cool, got it. So when I lived on campus, my next door neighbor, her name was Alice. All right, so Alice at the end of the year is like, hey, I'm getting an apartment across the street for next year. Are you down? That was kind of the first thing to fall into my lap. So I said, sure. We get an apartment. It's me, Alice, and Alice is like, hey, I'm going to invite my best friend, So Alice is like, hey, I'm going to invite my best friend from SAC to come live with us. She's down. She knows the price of the rent, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, cool. So at this point, it's me, Alice, and her best friend. We're going to call her Brenda. All right. So at this point, it's me, Alice, and Brenda in the apartment. And everything was cool at first, but then I started noticing that Alice and Brenda were not cleaning up after themselves. So when it gets closer to school, Alice is like, hey, I found somebody who wants to room with us. It'll be 4 people. We'll split the rent. It'll be, you know, a lot more manageable. Cool, whatever. So alright, so at this point, there is 4 of us in the apartment. And, you know, I'm noticing that Alice and Brenda are not cleaning up after themselves. They're having a little bit too much fun. You feel me? Inviting people over from work. Having whole parties, you know, beer ponging it up and not mopping, not cleaning up after themselves. And, you know, at this point, it was just hard for me to clean up after everybody. So I stopped. I just cleaned up after myself and I had to tiptoe around their mess, and that's just an uncomfortable living situation. Had I known all that before, I wouldn't have moved in with them. So anyways, we moved in June. We're going to fast forward to the incident in December. So at this point, you know, we already know that motherfuckers aren't cleaning up after themselves. It's messy around here. I'm tiptoeing around mess. I'm wearing shoes in the house. I said my piece every time we had like a roommate meeting or whatever. That meant nothing. So anyways, we're going to fast forward to December. December comes along. I go home to visit my family for Christmas. I come back and I see a bloody used Band-Aid on the kitchen counter. And I'm like texting Grace. I'm like, hey girl, sending her a pic. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Do you know who this is? You know who did this? Like, what's going on? What is this? This is disgusting. Like, who would do this? You know, I'm flabbergasted at this point. So Grace is like, hey girl, that was Brenda. Brenda left that there, blah, blah, blah. You know, Grace started saying. So I'm like, okay. Sorry, y'all. Grace is like, that's Brenda's. So I take a picture and I send it to Brenda. And I quote, I said, no fucking excuse. Brenda was more upset about me cursing at her than about the whole situation overall or taking accountability. And Brenda started getting slick via text message. I was at work and I was like,
I'll just see you when I get home.
I was on my way home and I was with my ex-boyfriend at the time. He came home with me. I already explained to him the situation. Like, look, when I get in there, I gotta have a talk with this girl. She's acting crazy, you know, like whatever. So I get in the house and, sorry, hold on. So I get in the house. Brenda is ready to talk. She already knows it's coming. She already knows that she and I need to have a word. I got a bone to pick with her. So Brenda wants to have to talk in my bedroom for privacy. Cool, I understand. We go to my bedroom and Brenda is getting really loud with me. Brenda wants to bring up that I left some gift wrap on the ground before I left to my parents' house for Christmas, obviously, because I was wrapping presents. And I told Brenda, I was like, you know, I cleaned it up already. So I cleaned it up before you even brought it up. So why are you comparing that to leaving a dirty used Band-Aid on the kitchen counter? And with Brenda's track record of cleaning, I just knew she would think that, oh, she was just going to pick it up, throw it away, and that was going to be that. No, sweetie, you're going to have to sanitize the entire surface. Like this, no. I think that's what made me a little bit more angry, is knowing that even if Brenda cleaned up her Band-Aid, that she wasn't going to sanitize the surface after. I just knew her. So, you know, Brenda's getting loud, you know, and I'm not really the type of person to sit there and yell back and forth at you. On top of that, as I mentioned, we're in my bedroom. So no, Brenda, you're not going to get loud with me in my bedroom. And on top of that, like I said, this isn't to shame anybody, but these are facts. This is what the buildup was. Brenda never paid her rent on time. Brenda was late every month, wouldn't say nothing to nobody until I got a 3-day notice on my door. So that's how Brenda moved. So, you know, that got brought up. So I hit Brenda. I hit her. And my other two roommates, Grace and Alice, are screaming like, oh my God, make them stop, blah, blah, blah. So now at this point, me and Brenda are on the ground, you know. It didn't last very long. It wasn't like a gruesome fight, but I started it. I was the bad guy, of course, but you know, like that's just the type of person that I was at the time. You're not going to be disrespecting me in my bedroom, period. So we fought, and my boyfriend at the time had to come break it up, whatever. Unfortunately, I was binded to this lease with these girls, and that was probably the hardest part, is that I wanted to go. I wanted to leave. I wasn't happy. I had to come home every day after that with my hair tied up because I didn't know what was going to happen. For 3 months, I dealt with it. I came home every day with my hair tied up, not knowing if I was going to get in a fight or not. Until in March, on my birthday, I moved out. I moved out on my birthday as a gift to myself, not having to deal with these girls anymore. I moved out without breaking a lease. I made sure I let the girls know that I was leaving and they needed to find someone to replace if they didn't want to have to pay more for rent. So I was over it. They figured it out. Cool. Everything was good. The only thing that sucked was that my name was still on that lease. So if anything happened, I would still technically be financially responsible. So that worried me. But at the same time, I was so fed up with living like that I didn't care. I just moved. That was just one of my young and dumb mistakes. I just assumed that everyone was going to be financially responsible. And that wasn't the case. So if I were to do it again, I'm not signing a lease with nobody. And I am making sure whoever I do move in with is on the same level as me as far as cleanliness. And that's just how I like to live, you feel me? Like, that's how I grew up. That's my comfortability level. That just about does it today. Thank you guys for listening to my story time. Let me know if you guys would like to hear some more stories. If you guys made it to this part of the video, please make sure you like, subscribe, comment, whatever you got to do. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bitches be getting real bold up in there, like, not in my bedroom.